here because there's nothing like having that relationship with your mother. And that's something that I found out at the young age of 16. And I'll just kind of start from the beginning. When I was 14 years old, I found myself in an abusive relationship. And it was with someone that made me feel pretty. People oftentimes wonder, well, when they think about who the victim is in dating abuse, what do you think? You oftentimes think that there's no father in the home, nobody ever told them that they were worth anything. You sometimes think that they come from a poor family or what have you, but that wasn't my situation. Both of my parents are preachers, and I had a father who was there, still there. My parents have been married for 30 years. So, you know, I'm kind of, nowadays, not the norm, where my parents are still together. My father and my mother told me all the right things. They told me I was wonderful, told me I was spectacular, and yet I still found myself in an abusive relationship with someone who said, I love you, and made me feel pretty. And he made me feel pretty because, as a child, I really didn't like my complexion. Because people used to always say, oh, she's such a pretty dark-skinned girl. Or, she's really pretty for a dark-skinned girl. And I remember I used to say, Mom, why do they keep on saying, why do they have to keep saying that I'm dark-skinned before they say I'm pretty, or, you know, they think I'm this wonderful person? And so I grew up having this complex and feeling like I wasn't pretty. And so when this person came along, I attached myself to him. And again, it was at 14 years old. Preacher's daughter. Knew all the right things. Knew what to look for, because my dad always told me about the jokers out there. Knew what to look for. But because this person made me feel like I was worth something, or I actually gave him that power to make me feel like I was worth something, that's how I got connected into a relationship like that. So the relationship started off wonderful, as they all do. Yes, it was great. And honey, I thought he was fine. I look at pictures now and I'm like, Lord, what were you thinking? Because I look at him now, I'm like, he was a hot mess. He is not cute nowadays, but back then, oh, he was the stuff, you know. I mean, he wore the clothes the right way, you know, he walked with that little swagger the right way. And I said, oh, he was the stuff back then. And again, everything was wonderful. I had a boyfriend. And the funny thing was, about 2 weeks before he and I started dating, whatever kind of dating you can have at 14, but before we started going out, talking, whatever you guys call it, before we started doing all that, I'd been with somebody else, and he broke up with me because I didn't want to have sex with him. Is it okay for me to be real in here today? Yeah. Okay, good. I think the moms are going to like that, but yes, I'm going to be real. So he broke up with me because I didn't want to have sex. You know, and because I didn't have friends that were my cheerleaders and were saying stuff like, you know, it's really okay for you not to have sex, it's okay for you to stay pure. You know, no, I had my friends that were like, you're such a preacher's girl. You're like, what is wrong with you? You know, why would you give up Brian? You know, Brian was a hot mess too. You know, he was a hot mess too. So why would you give up Brian? Well, if he didn't respect me and my wishes, then we didn't need to be together. But because Brian broke up with me, once I finally got with this new person, for some reason in my head, things started to change a little bit. All my friends had boyfriends. All my friends were having sex. And they were keeping their boyfriend. So instead of me being really strong within myself, in my beliefs, and in who I was, I remember I made the decision one night that, okay, well, tonight's going to be the night. It's really not that big deal. Because my friends were having sex and it wasn't a big deal for them either. I mean, here I am 14. They had a couple of partners. I'd never been touched. So, okay, it's not a big deal. But right before we were getting ready to, I decided I didn't want to do this. Of course, at that moment, I was in the wrong place, at the wrong time, shouldn't have been there. So, of course, I'm feeling bad about that. And when I told him to stop, he didn't stop. And I remember telling him, you're hurting me. And he pushed harder. And then I remember coming to. So obviously I kind of blacked out during the experience. And he was putting on his clothes and he laughed at me. And he was like, girl, you should have seen your face. And you know, the sounds that you were making or whatever. This was somebody that said he loved me.